All right, welcome to class 2, exercise 1. You will notice here, class 2, exercise 1. I have the notes here from the exercise. I have 3 different tabs logged into my Kali Linux. One that I'm logged in as Kali itself. One that I'm logged in as the student user. And one that's just here on my local machine where I have some exercises and examples and things. So let's get started. Class 2, exercise 1. The purpose of this is to reset the web app back to original state so that we can do the exercises for this particular class. So we're just going to go down the step by step here. I believe service MariaDB start should be started, but again, it asks me for that. The way to find out is to log into MySQL -u student -p. Yep, the password should be password. Use CIS, show tables. Okay, so we're there. I can log in as root, of course, or root -p. I don't need to do that. I already have this from last time. So this I don't need to do again. I need to log in and I need to create the CIS database, but I already have it created, so I'm going to go drop it first. So drop database CIS. Okay, show databases. Notice it does not exist. So now we're going to create it. Again, this is case sensitive. Bingo. And we're going to use CIS. There's no tables here. So we have to create a table. Should be very familiar by now. We've done this already. It's good practice though. And okay, tables, describe users. Very nice, very quick. Describe users. We're going to create an admin user. So this is an application user, a web app admin user, just to be clear. There we go. Select star from users. And voila, admin, bingo. We can quit. They also want us to go in and delete delete and reset up the web application. So I'm going to do that. cd/var www/html if you're not already there. What I would recommend here is making a directory, old stuff, let's call it class 1, and then we're going to move everything into old stuff class 1, and it's going to look like it failed because but it basically says it couldn't move the directory into it in itself, so that's fine. But if you look, -laf, everything has been moved, so there's that. Now we're going to, I think I already have a copy of this in my home directory, so cd tilde, or to go to my home directory, to home Kali. And I already have a copy here, but if you need to go get a copy, you could use wget, probably the easiest thing in the world to do is to use that, copy, Control V, and obviously make sure you don't, you just have the nice URL there, you don't have any extra characters, and the file is there. Bingo. So now I'm going to copy cpwebapp.zip to var www.html, cd/var www.html, unzip webapp.zip. Ta-da! Excellent. So now if you remember, I have the specific problem. Most of you will use localhost in the domain, but if I do, let's see, for example, webapp.php, you notice how localhost is in a lot of these URLs, and I can't have that in my web app because I'm using an IP address instead of localhost, since I'm doing the editing from my host machine onto the virtual machine. I'm not actually using the Kali interface itself, just because I'm difficult that way. Of course, you could use this; it's just as fine. If you're logging into Kali directly, then and you want to use localhost, that's perfectly fine. So this is an optional step that I just have to do, and I don't remember the command, so I'm gonna say history to show all the commands, but specifically I'm gonna look for grep, the command find, and there it is. So I ran this command before, and you've seen it, where I go through and remove basically HTTP localhost from all the PHP and all from the HTML files. So boom. I'm going to run the same command again, but this time I'm going to go through all the HTML files. Okay, and if you look at the file I looked at before, web app, notice how it's an absolute path, but it doesn't have the domain part in it, which is great, works just fine for me. So now, just to make sure that I am finishing this exercise, I want to make sure that I can actually log in. Obviously, you're going to use localhost if you're using, or I'm going to use an IP address, but let's just stop service Apache 2 stop. Kali, yes. And if I go here, and then I refresh the page, this should not work, right? Perfect, that's what we want. And if I go back to the instructions, I'm going to start Apache start. Okay, so now if I refresh the page, ta-da, there it is. So the application is back up and running, and the login is there, so I should be able to log in as admin. Bingo. Now there's only one user. We are going to recommend making that student user, student or student password application user, but maybe I'll make that later if I need to. Anyways, that's it for exercise 1. We've reset our environment back to a working state, so you shouldn't have to worry about all the old stuff. You should have saved it if you need to see it. And that's it. Stopping the recording, and we'll go to exercise 2.